Hyenas get a bad rap and are blamed for contributing to a generation of blind lovers' trauma. The hyena's reputation is so poor that you'd be hard-pressed to find anyone that actually likes them, which is a shame because there is more than one subspecies, and all of them are fascinating animals. So today, we'll look at another hyena species. Hidden in the shallows of Africa, there's a creature that few have seen and few have heard of. The elusive and fascinating brown hyena. With its shaggy fur, piercing eyes, and mysterious nature, this scavenger is one of the most unique animals you'll ever encounter. Despite its rarity, the brown hyena plays a crucial role in maintaining its ecosystem. Join us as we uncover the secrets of this misunderstood predator, exploring its behaviour and habitat among other things, and why it's one of Africa's best kept secrets. Brown hyenas have the smallest range of all hyenas, limiting themselves to the southern region of Africa, mostly concentrated around the countries of Namibia, Botswana, and northwest in South Africa. They also have small ranges in Angola, Zimbabwe, and Mozambique, with their preferred habitat being either desert and semi-desert, but they have been seen in woodlands, savannas, and also near urban areas. Effectively, like most hyenas, where there is food, you'll find a brown hyena. They also spend a lot of time in mountainous terrain, as well as along beaches. Hence the name the strand wolf, which in Afrikaans translates to beach wolf, which sets them apart from most hyenas, because few will ever spend any prolonged period of time near the coast, whereas brown hyenas will spend a decent amount of their lives there. Brown hyenas are the second largest species of hyena, with the average height being 144 centimeters, with the tail being 25 to 35 centimeters long, with the shoulder height being around 2 feet, which is about the size of a medium-sized dog. They will weigh around somewhere between 38 to 44 kilograms, making them the second heaviest species of hyena. Now, you're probably wondering how you tell the two sexes apart. Well, I'll be honest with you, it's hard to tell, but males will be slightly more well-built and weigh more. But aside from that, unfortunately, your best bet is to look under the proverbial skirts of brown hyenas. They're unique because of their long shaggy coats, which serves a vital purpose, keeping the brown hyena warm during the cold nights of the desert, which is one of its many functions. They also have brown and white legs, which appear superficially like the brown hyena copied the zebra's homework. The reason for this is to help them camouflage into their environment, but I'll expand on this more later. They also have a creamy collar, which looks fairly similar to a European collar from the Middle Ages, but it does serve a key purpose. Brown hyenas also have pointed ears, which allow them to hear over greater distances. They also have a sloped back, which, like most hyenas, allows them to dig more effectively. But this doesn't stop them of reaching an estimated speed of 50 miles per hour. But, I should point out, there has never been a conclusive study done on the top speed, so take that number with a very large pinch of salt. The jaw of the brown hyena is fascinating. Having larger skulls than their cousin, the striped hyena, this gives them a more powerful bite, which, like most hyenas, can be used to shatter bone. However, this ability will be dulled as they grow older, as their teeth start to rot, so it's not uncommon for brown hyenas to die of starvation, which is usually around the ages of 12 to 15 in the wild, which is actually a fairly short lifespan compared to most hyenas. But captive individuals have been known to live for years, with the oldest individual living till they were around 32 years old. You're probably wondering what purpose its long coat serves, but the fur serves two purposes. The first is obvious, the camouflage, because effectively they're in a ghillie suit. But they can also make this hair stand on edge, similar to the striped hyena, increasing its intimidation factor. Brown hyenas are also burrowing animals, which is another use to their sloped backs. It's not uncommon for brown hyenas to sleep under whatever they can if a burrow isn't available. Brown hyenas are also nocturnal. The reason for this is because they have excellent night vision and a sense of smell, allowing them to take advantage of the lack of predators at night, so they can detect prey or a dead carcass from miles away. This also has the effect of avoiding conflict with other brown hyenas, but I'll expand on this later. As I just alluded to, brown hyenas are omnivores, meaning they will eat whatever they can get their hands on, with the main method of acquiring food being to scavenge from larger predators, such as leopards, cheetahs, and jackals. This is because they aren't very good hunters, hence why they choose to scavenge prey. Usually, it's antelope brought down by other predators, but they'll eat basically anything they can get their jaws on, including some quite interesting stuff, such as insects, eggs, and fruit, which may sound surprising, but I'll point out that the consumption of fruits, such as melons and Gemsbok cucumber, provides an extra source of water, which is vital for these animals. They're also known to eat desert truffles, which is a type of fungi. They will eat until they can't anymore, and that will include the bone. So they don't particularly need to be good hunters, and fill a similar ecological role to the vulture, acting as the garbage man of the savannah. Coastal populations are also known to kill seal pups on the beaches of its territory. Now, you might wonder, how often do they steal kills? Well, it's fairly common, and the main strategy is to charge the predator, the hyena's teeth showing and also puffed out, increasing its intimidation factor, until the predator backs off. And it's actually not uncommon for brown hyenas to chase leopards up into trees in order to secure a kill, although sometimes they do it when there's no prey in the area, showing the kind of relationship these two predators have. Sorry to interrupt you here, guys, but just a quick request from me. If you wouldn't mind, hit that like and subscribe button if you're enjoying today's video. It really helps me out, and it'll save your neck because I won't have to release the brown hyenas on you. And if you want us to cover a specific animal, leave a comment below and I'll add it to the list. Now anyway, back to it. Typical brown hyena territory is around 42 kilometers squared, and they'll travel around 38 kilometers in the night in search of food. Now, the question might arise, since they have territories, are they territorial? And the answer is yes, with the most common sites of conflict between brown hyenas occurring around the beaches where all the seal pups are. And this can be seen by looking at various brown hyena specimens and looking for damage, particularly around the ears and scars around the neck, which separates them again from the striped hyena, who typically avoid biting one another on the neck. However, the brown hyenas have developed a fascinating strategy to reduce conflict between the species. It effectively boils down to something called temporal partitioning. This effectively means that some clans in the area will become diurnal, meaning that they will be active during the day, whereas other clans will become nocturnal, reducing the conflict between the clans. One of the interesting issues, and one of the things they still haven't dealt with, is despite spending most of their lives in sandy environments, brown hyenas haven't found a way to effectively deal with the sand, particularly stopping it from going in their eyes. So it's not uncommon for older individuals to go blind due to sand. Brown hyenas, like their cousins the striped hyena, were once thought to be solitary animals. However, this theory has now been debunked. The reality is they will live together in clans, as mentioned. Being more social than their cousins the aardwolf and the striped hyena, brown hyena clans consist of somewhere between 5 to 15 individuals. And whilst there is a matriarchy, it's not as strong as in spotted hyenas, with the structure resembling more of a wolf pack, with there being both a dominant male and female, with the rest of the clan typically, although not always, consisting of their offspring. They maintain this structure through organised displays of aggression and mock fights. But it should be noted, the way to the top varies depending on your sex. If you're a male, the strategy is to kill the dominant male, whereas if you're a female, the best way to become the dominant female is either 1, starting your own clan, or 2, typically waiting to become the eldest female in the group. And I should point out, migration between various clans is actually fairly common. Another fascinating behaviour of the brown hyena is that 1/3 of males and some females will become nomadic. With no territory, they will be free to roam, searching for food. However, males are typically more nomadic than females. The only reason females will typically become nomadic is that they've been pushed out to their original clan by the alpha female, or they have simply just left to start their own clan. Another fascinating fact about brown hyenas is that they don't laugh like the spotted cousins and have no large vocal cord, instead relying on scent marking and kill sites to communicate over distance. But it should be noted, they still do make a call. And so, for you, I give you the call of the brown hyena. Another fascinating thing about brown hyenas is the dynamic that occurs between itself and the cheetah. If the cheetah takes down a prey item, they have an issue because before they start eating, they need to cool down, which is fair enough considering they've just gone the speed of a quick car. Brown hyenas will often follow cheetahs, usually going for the leftovers, unless they're feeling bold, in which case they'll chase the cheetah away from the kill. So, whilst the brown hyena waits for the cheetah to eat, they will naturally be on guard looking for predators, such as lions and spotted hyenas. So, this gives the cheetah extra warning to get out of there in the scenario of danger. In exchange, once the cheetah is done, the brown hyena gets the leftovers. As mentioned, brown hyenas are burrowing animals, with the den being the core of brown hyena society, being the place where both socialization between the clan and breeding occurs. You can identify a brown hyena's den based on the bones around it. Now, like their striped cousin, brown hyenas don't really have a breeding season, but it usually occurs sometime between May and August, which, whilst aligning with the dry season, and with gestation lasting 90 days, This ensures that cubs are born towards the end of the dry season, giving them a fairly high chance of survival. Interestingly, brown hyenas have two different systems of mating. There's the typical dominant male system, where the dominant male breeds with his female counterpart, but in the scenario that the dominant male and female are related, he will instead mate with nomadic males outside the clan. And interestingly, the males within the clan don't seem to resent this, and will still aid in the raising of the cubs. The female will separate herself from the clan into a separate maternal den where she will give birth. These are usually in highly remote locations. The reason for this is protection from external threats, as it's on site with leopards and jackals who will attempt to kill brown hyena pups. An interesting thing is that in the scenario that two females get pregnant, instead of the dominant killing the lower ranks cubs, they will instead raise the two cubs together, although the mother will favour her own pups over the other. Litters of brown hyena usually consist of around 1 to 5 cubs, weighing around 1 kilogram at birth. They will be born, like most mammals, blind and deaf, and open their eyes after 8 days, though interestingly, they're the only species of hyena to be born with their eyes closed. As mentioned, they will be born in the maternal den, and only their mother will have contact with them for these initial weeks, although other clan members will bring food to her. At the age of 3 months old, the cubs will become more independent and can start eating solid foods, at which point they will be moved by their mother to the main den. This is the point in which the clan members will help to raise them, bringing back food such as antelope legs for the cubs to eat, and they will still be drinking their mother's milk, or other lactating females if that's the scenario which has occurred. But they will never be left alone for more than 48 hours in the den. During this time, they will spend most of the day playing and socializing with one another, and exploring their immediate environment, although never straying too far away from the den. They will continue to feed off their mother's milk until the age of 12 months old, at which point they will start to leave the den, learning how to scavenge and hunt from their parents. They will become independent at around 18 months, with most males becoming nomadic, and females staying with their mother's clan. But this does vary, as some individuals will join another clan immediately after becoming independent. They will reach reproductive maturity at around 2 to 3 years old, and will start to contribute to the circle of life. An interesting thing is that partly due to their group structure, only 11% of cubs die in infancy, which is actually pretty good, especially when you consider the wide amount of threats in its habitat. I touched on earlier the relationship between the brown hyena and other predators in the region. Now, I should point out that in the scenario that the leopard stands and fights, it could go either way, and if a brown hyena tries to challenge a large enough pack of jackals, they will usually be forced into submission. But I know what you're wondering. Where's the king of the savannah? Well, there's a small amount of lions in southern Africa, and the range of these individuals does not usually interact with the brown hyena's range. Same goes for the spotted hyena and African wild dogs, but in the scenario they do meet, all three will attempt to kill the brown hyena, but the majority of conflict, as mentioned earlier, comes from jackals, leopards and cheetahs, and one other animal, domesticated dogs. And as you will learn if you stick around long enough, if you have domesticated dogs, well then, humans aren't too far behind. There's fossil evidence to suggest that we've been living with brown hyenas since the early Pliocene, and the same evidence also shows that brown hyenas once lived in modern-day Iberia, which is where Spain is now. In the modern day, brown hyenas are seen as pests and are often seen scavenging through rubbish and dead livestock carcasses. The result of this is the belief of many farmers that brown hyenas kill their livestock, and we're talking, in a survey, around 72% of Namibian farmers believe this. However, most of the time this is false, with the reality being that the livestock has been killed by another animal or has died of natural causes, and the brown hyena has simply just swooped in to take the meat. Brown hyenas are also hunted for use in traditional medicine and rituals, and are often killed by poisons, which are used to kill problem animals like jackals. There is, however, a very small market for brown hyena pelts and trophy hunting, because, if we're being honest with ourselves, they aren't the most appealing animals to look at, especially from the face on. But it should be noted that they are protected animals in national parks, and campaigns have been working effortlessly to dispel most of the myths surrounding brown hyenas, and problem individuals are usually relocated away from people. Now, in theory, you can tame a brown hyena, and some people have done it, but there's no evidence of this happening on a large scale historically, so I personally wouldn't really recommend it, especially if you like using your hands. Brown hyenas are very skittish around people, to the point that one of the bastions of brown hyenas is abandoned villages, usually found in Namibia. One of the reasons for this is because of the shelter these ruined structures provide, and also the fact that they're usually very far away from human civilization. Currently, there's an estimated population of around 8 to 10,000 individuals, making them the rarest species of hyena, and are considered a near threatened species, and as such need to be protected in order to prevent the loss of this vital part of the Southern African ecosystem. And that, folks, is the brown hyena. If you want to learn more about this fascinating genus of mammals, I'd recommend you watch this video on its cousin, the striped hyena.